Welcome back, everybody, to the Dusty Bender podcast. I, once again, am one of your hosts, Chance Watson. With you, as always, your other host, Taylor Wells. Episode 128 coming at you, folks, tonight as we record on this very dark. It's always dark out nowadays, it seems, because of daylight savings time. Dark Thursday night after a spectacular Red Wings loss as we come up on a hopefully fantastic Kraken game. We'll see.
Yeah, better hope so. I did
Yes.
watch. I did watch that Red Wings game though. That was
We'll get into that.
that's a tough one.
We'll get to that in a
Toughie.
second. Chance Watson, Taylor Wells coming at you guys, and folks. Now open for senior advisor positions.
Oh, what's it? What's the pay on that?
Uh, get this, very good, very good.
I bet it's good, but why?
Yeah, it's actually really good. Yeah,
Hmm,
being a senior advisor to somebody who should be doing their job.
right.
What's the difference between a senior advisor and a junior advisor?
Junior advisor is just there so that the NHL coach can turn to them and yell at them more. So like yeah. So like
Coach can yell at the junior advisor.
right. Yeah. So
Senior.
like,
All right, so the senior advisor goes to the coach. It's like, hey, you're not yelling at the players correctly. All right, you need to be kicking the garbage can this far, and you need to like get some spittle on them when you scream at them about how bad they're playing. And then
correct.
the coach internalizes this, and then he goes and screams at the junior advisor. Is that what you're
Yes.
telling me?
Yeah. So then he turns to the junior advisor. He says, "You're not yelling enough." So he's like practicing his yelling, and the junior advisor says, "Okay," and then takes that to the Pee Wee team that he coaches.
Helps him fine tune that yelling.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right.
He's literally he's there to work lines with him, right? He's there to practice the script.
I feel like Coach from Letterkenny. They should just hire him to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's fucking embarrassing.
He is the senior advisor.
He really is, though. Like that, people should take some definitely hints from him.
So Chance, tell me and the fine people what you're talking about here.
Yes. We are talking about the Ottawa Senators right now, folks, and the Ottawa Senators, as of this recording, I think they just dropped their game to Toronto tonight. Correct?
Yes, they did. Toronto.
Okay.
I think it was
So
4-3.
yeah, they're not doing so hot. I think they're rounding out the bottom of the Eastern Conference, or at least right down there with Columbus and Buffalo, and they're not doing so hot. And instead of fire the coach and start trading away pieces and do things that would actually improve the team, they have now hired a coach for the coach.
Yes.
In technical terms, a senior advisor to the coaching staff in general. So this individual is basically supposed to go around and, I am assuming, help the coaching staff coach. He's a coach for the coaches.
Yeah, 100%. So it's
Which seems kind of redundant.
yes. That is I think that is the definition of redundancy.
Like if you're good at coaching, you don't need a coach. Like you're there to, let's be real here. Like a professional coach, they're going to go to these professional hockey players, like individuals that have been fine tuning and narrowing in on one thing their entire life. Sometimes in many cases, one thing of that one thing. Like they're not even all around good players. Like one guy has just been getting really good at clapping pucks home from the top of the circles, and that's all he can do.
Yeah.
Our buddy Grabner made a career of taking it into the shins and skating really fast in a straight direction for breakaway goals, and that's pretty much all he did.
Look, I'm all for therapy, counselors, those kind of things, but that's all this guy is. He's just a glorified DJ Smith counselor, right? And it's
Basically, yeah.
It's crazy. So when all this was coming out, they were kind of showing his record as the Ottawa Senators coach, DJ Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's under 500. Someone can correct me on that. So I believe he's under 500 in 5 years as the Ottawa coach, and they're bringing in what is it, Jacques Martin,
Jean-Jacques Jean-Jacques France JJ.
JJ France
Yeah.
JJ. Yes.
Yeah, from Letterkenny.
Yes.
Is he the pride of Quebec? Is he the pride of Quebec?
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Just slaying. he's just getting after it at 71 years old. He's absolutely crushing. Um, yeah, so 71-year-old, you
Mhm.
coach the Sens from 96 to 04, but they're basically, yeah, like you said, they're bringing him in to just oversee the coaching staff that hasn't been able to get it done. So I don't know what this looks like. He's clearly not on the bench, right? They're for sure not going to have him behind the bench, right? They couldn't do something like that.
He's
Um,
he's in the stands behind the bench.
oh
Like
God,
he take that season ticket of like the seat behind the bench always. He's just like he just leans over.
DJ Smith kind of like he like sends out some guys for the fucking power play and then looks back.
No, no,
Nah,
just
no, and he pulls Kachuk off. He's like, nah, that's not gonna do. That's not gonna. Yeah, Jacques spoke, dude.
feels like a Babcock move where we just fucking put on like the oldest veteran on the team.
Dude, Jacques is actually checking DJ Smith's phone. Like he's like just making sure that DJ's doing his fucking job on the
Oh my
sidelines.
god,
This is weird, right? Isn't this weird? Just
very
can
strange.
the guy. This to me, Chance has energy of like, we love DJ Smith. DJ Smith invites us. DJ Smith sends us Christmas cards every year. We love the guy. He's such a good dude. He's a terrible coach, so we're gonna bring somebody else in because we love his Christmas yams or something. I
It
don't
is
fucking
yes,
know, dude.
absolutely.
It's
And I get
bizarre.
that. It's probably that and a combination of the Ottawa Senators like are your like the organ, especially after the passing of Melnick
Hmm.
and the firing of Pierre Dorian. Um, they're yearning for stability. They're
Hmm.
yearning for just like a 6 month window of not something horrible happening with the Ottawa
God.
Senators and making the fucking news. All right, like it's this goes back, man. It seems like ever since Daniel Alfredson left this team, it's something horrible is always happening with them. Something they're making the news for all the wrong reasons. They're making all the wrong trades. It seems like every time they bring somebody in, we're like, why the fuck did you do that? And it's I think that they're just yearning for stability. They don't want to fire a coach. They don't want to rock the boat in mid-season. They're going to finally be like, okay, we're just going to relax. We're gonna like even if it's a bad season, we're just gonna ride it out.
You know who's really good at relaxing is Jacques Martin.
Jacques
the,
Martin,
the guy at 71 knows how to relax. He's been retired, right?
dude.
So he's a professional relaxer. So it's just to me it's so bizarre. Like I like your point. I think trying not to shake things up too much in the middle of a season. I mean, shit, we're what 20 something games through, right? 30 have
Or
teams hit 30, but
you know
I
what?
don't know.
Maybe this is a legacy hire too. Like maybe like this guy served the organization for so long, and he's 71 years old, and he needs money for his retirement home that's coming up in 4 years, and they're leaning on him to I don't know. They're helping the guy out. Maybe it could be that too.
Hmm.
Like
Could
it's
be.
think about it. Like the same thing with Babcock. Like I understand it's not 1-to-1, but hiring Babcock was definitely not a like this was like we did Babs a favor kind of thing, not a like oh we're hiring the best qualified coach.
Sure, sure. Yeah, to me, it's just it's so interesting, right? Like, and this is it's a different approach, right? This is a different approach than what we've seen, so it's different. Nobody likes different. Everyone's always going to give different shit. I don't know if this is the answer, man. Like at this point with the team that they actually have built with bringing in Chikrin, right? Bringing in guys like Giroux and Tarasenko as kind of some of those veteran guys for the young guys. It's just a bizarre move to me, and I don't know if DJ Smith is technically the problem, but shit, at some point, man, at some point you gotta look towards the coach instead of just continuing to give him. Uh, I mean, leash, right? I mean,
Right.
that's all this is. So it's just
When
it's a really interesting setup.
when you're a team in the mix of that conversation, like it's we say it probably once an episode. It was the in the East. It was the Ottawa, Buffalo, and Detroit. Who's going to be the team that takes that step? Um, it seemed like Detroit was always like that second team, whereas Buffalo and Ottawa are always the flip flop. Either like Ottawa's going to be the worst or Buffalo's going to be the worst. Whereas Detroit, yeah, they're gonna take that step, but are they going to be actually playoff team? Who knows?
Real quick
Um,
chance, can you blow that up?
Can I blow this up? Yes, I
Yeah.
absolutely can. Yeah, there you go. Is that better?
Yeah, explode it. There you go.
Perfect.
A little better.
So as we look at this right now we'll give one out here for the Ottawa Senators. They have played significantly less games than everybody
Which
else,
is also weird.
which is
That's a
also
whole
very
other
weird.
story.
With their loss tonight, they're up to 21 games, but we're starting to inch toward them not having that excuse anymore. Like the Capitals only have one game on them, and they're up 6 points on them. So
Sure.
that's, the Devils are only up 2 games on them, and they're up 5 points on them. So that's not necessarily, things can change in 4 games. I get that. Like once they get up to 25, they win the next ones. Yeah, they're right back in it. But at the moment, things are not trending the right direction. You're not getting at least acceptable goaltending from Jonas Corposalo. The offense is not necessarily clicking the way you want. The defense still looks very young. This is a team that I think you and I would agree that has a bright future, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Just not now.
yeah, with the name, but when though, right? I mean, this was supposed to be their year, right? There was, I did see a post on Twitter. Jacob Chikrin wanted to go to a potential contender, and they're just something's up, right? And
Do they have any goalies in the system? Do you know anything about their pipeline?
Yeah, not really. I mean, there's a reason that they brought in Corpusalo for this season, right? Even if he's a 3-year stopgap or whatever I think actually might have given him only 2 years, but even if that's his where he's gonna be there, right? Yeah, it's just not even promising for we haven't heard of anybody in the minors that's really just absolutely killing it, right? Forsberg was potentially someone who could maybe take that next step and be that stud, but they have a lot of problems, and it was really interesting talking with Bobby because just there was a ton of optimism around this team, right? There's a ton of optimism based on paper what they have, right? I mean, they have, Tim Schutzla and Brady Tkachuk are two
A
of the
lot of
better
exciting
players.
names.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of exciting names.
Yeah. So, yeah, but even their offense isn't scoring it right now, and that's everybody goes through those slumps, but you can't start off decent, and then be kind of shitty, and then get worse, and everyone go, oh well, they'll turn it back around. No, they're essentially, without looking at Columbus, they're dead last in the fucking East right now, right? It's just something's going on there. So
Columbus does have 7 games in hand,
well, yeah,
which is just fucking bonkers. But
it's crazy. But I mean, but Ottawa still needs to win 7 games, right? Or
right,
whatever.
right,
it
they
is,
still
right?
got to win those games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But back to the coach, DJ Smith, right? Sorry, but he should probably just be gone, right? I don't know what they're trying to do, and maybe he still will be, right? Maybe towards the trade deadline, if this whole Jacques comes back and he's like, dude, DJ doesn't listen to me at all,
right?
And Jacques like, this guy this isn't working. We could probably still see DJ Smith get canned, but it's a bizarre situation, and realistically, there's not a ton of coaches on the market. I mean, could Bruce Boudreau come through here and could Butterball absolutely fucking turn this team around? Sure, right?
Butterball's good. Butterball's good in short term, small doses.
Right.
He can turn a team around for a season.
Right.
But you're right. Like we're like all those recycled coach names that we're used to hearing. Like they're getting older, man.
Right.
Like they're how many years are we gonna get where we're still gonna say, I was laughing the other day, like somebody was saying, like, oh, Peter Laviolette's in the fucking Jack Adams conversation. I'm like, can we stop with this? Like, Peter Laviolette jumps team like a broken clock is right twice a day. Like
he's a Band-Aid. Yeah.
This guy is literally on a new team every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
He's there to stabilize the situation and then basically set it up for somebody who actually knows how to lead a team to a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Ottawa fans, I don't know if it's going to get any better this season. We will see.
They strike me as a 500 team, which in the East isn't going to work.
Not going to cut it, no.
Got into an argument with an athletic writer in Twitter. We were talking about the Yotes, or not the Yotes, somebody else, but we were talking about how you could basically be a 500 team in the West and make the playoffs, and they're like, oh, 82 points is not going to make you the playoffs. And I'm like, Oh, it's weird. I thought I thought it was weird, but doesn't overtime and shootout losses count as a point?
Yeah.
Weird. It's almost like a team like if you, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, but
Well,
in the
because we've seen teams with 10, 11, 12 overtime losses, right? And
look
they're
at
technically 500, right? So
look at as you look at our screen right now, the Tampa Bay Lightning are 12, 11, and 5. If you take those 5 points away, this is a 12 and 16 team that is below 500. Like they are not in a wild card spot.
right.
Take 5 points away from them, they're 24 points near Buffalo.
Yep.
But
Hey,
because they went a little further,
right. They
you
went a
know,
little
because
further. They played a little more hockey in 5 different games.
right, they played, 5 to 10 minutes more of hockey and lost, but because of that they get an extra point, which
Could have been 10 seconds.
right. I'm not saying it's good. My argument is you could play 500 hockey. Like John Tortorella has made a career in the last 5 years of getting the OT loser point and limping teams into the playoffs because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in the West. That's definitely a possibility.
Sure.
Let's look at it. I mean, yeah, Arizona's two above 500.
Yeah.
Preds are 2 above 500 as well, so that's not too bad.
Yeah. Before we get too far, Chance, I think we do have a few sponsors we gotta run through.
We do have a few sponsors. So first off, folks, the Hub Tavern. Okay, the Hub Tavern is your home away from home, the premier hockey bar in Spokane, Washington, on Monroe. Folks, Dave and Mona are the absolute greatest fucking people you can meet in your entire life. Go in there, have a beer, and just enjoy the Hub. It is one of those most relaxing places where you can go in, watch a hockey game, have a reasonably priced beverage. Nowadays, beer is going to cost you $6, $7, $8.
Sure.
Or if you go to a hockey game, $20. So.
Sure. Yeah,
it's so frustrating.
Bag.
So bad. So you could definitely go in there and have a good time for a reasonable price without breaking the bank. And you know what? If you do love the Hub or you just love the Dusty Bender podcast, why don't you support them by scanning this QR code? All right? I'm going to scan this QR code. I'm going to remove this so it gets bigger. Scan this QR code if you're watching us on YouTube, and we'll post this on Twitter as well. Scan this QR code, and not only can you win a Seattle Kraken dartboard, but the Hub Tavern can also win a Seattle Kraken dartboard. Jump on. Takes like 30 seconds to fill out the forms, your name, your email, and you just write the Hub Tavern is your favorite Kraken bar.
Oh, I know right where I would put that sucker, dude. I could chuck it from here.
This is they are the Hub also famously part of the Anchor Alliance.
There you go.
As a for the audio listeners, I'm wearing the Anchor Alliance t-shirt at the moment.
You sure are.
That's right. All right, and folks, obviously we also have to mention Monterey Cafe.
Sure do.
The good folks over at Monterey Cafe and the owner Jeff, absolute beauties out there. I'm actually gonna swing by some merch here fairly soon. Gonna be sporting the Dusty Bender colors on some hats and some shirts. We do have some merch coming down the pike, so slight plug on that. If you guys are interested, reach out to us. But Monterey Cafe, premier, awesome karaoke bar in downtown Spokane, and also some of the best pizza that you'll find, affordably priced. Specials throughout the week. Tuesdays, Twisted Tea Tuesdays. That's going to be Twisted Teas for $4. White Claw Wednesdays. White Claws are $4. Deep Thursdays. And there's a free paint session. You can go up and paint stuff. Yeah. Deep Thursdays. So that's Deep Eddie Vodka. Flavor Fridays. You go in and ask the bartender what's going on, and that's going to be $6. Shot Ski Saturday. 4 people, 4 shots for $10. And then Industry Night is Sunday. Open mics from 5:30 to 8. Karaoke starts at 8 p.m. Industrial Special is the first drink for $4. So if you are a bartender yourself, go on into Monterey Cafe. Enjoy the discounts. Have a slice of pizza. Sing your heart out. And if Jeff is there, say hi to him.
Oh, so we're going on Saturday for the shot ski, right?
That's correct. That's 100% correct.
Sweet gig.
Yeah. Oh, what a deal! What a fucking deal!
$2.50 a shot. Come on, man.
You know
Find
what?
3 friends. Find 3 bums on the road. Just go. Just do it. That's awesome.
You're just walking down on the way there. It's hey, you want to be my friend?
$10 shot skis. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's get it. Yeah, fuck yeah.
You got $3?
Yeah, you're trying to make money off the bums. I mean, that's a buck. That's a buck 50. That goes a long way.
They probably got, you know,
3 months.
some hobos definitely make more money than I do. So
Yeah, 100%. There's multiple studies that come out pretty, every once in a while in Seattle. They make more than minimum wage. So
I love that.
yeah,
I love that for them. That makes
good.
me very happy in my career choices.
Proud of them, dude. Proud of them.
I do have a Detroit Red Wings Christmas hat, so that's good.
Yeah, you're a little elf, huh?
That's
You know what? That's what you need to be happy after.
this is a
tonight.
Santa
So
hat, okay?
I don't know if Santa would wear that. Detroit? Santa's never been to Detroit.
Detroit one.
He doesn't bring presents to Detroit.
No. Oh no. Absolutely not. I'm definitely a Detroit Red Wings fan, but the city of Detroit is a different matter.
Oh yeah, I've walked downtown Detroit luckily as a group of young hockey players.
Yes.
We had a little bit, like only one kid got stolen.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I mean, the odds, good. Right? The odds of that.
Yeah, one out of 10. Yeah,
5%. That's pretty good. So
it's not bad at all.
So, yeah. What else we got?
Hopefully he wasn't vital to your team in any way.
No. It was just, he's a backup goalie.
Oh.
Yeah, it's perfect. It was the perfect one to steal. They knew.
So good. Yeah. All right. Also, folks, we got a shout out to Fire Chief John Miller. Fire Chief John Miller is a longtime supporter, longtime listener of the show. John, we love you. We appreciate your support. And once again, as always, folks, this is an anti-space heater podcast. We have no patience for space heaters. All right, you're more than likely to catch yourself on fire with one than stay warm in the winter. Get a blanket. You know what? I own 2 weighted blanket. We should reach out to a weighted blanket company and get sponsorship. I own 2 of those bad boys, and they'll keep you nice and toasty. Okay.
Or don't need a space heater. Or go to your local dog shelter.
Yes.
And buy a few dogs. They just radiate heat. So
adopt a dog. With your space, not with your space heater, with your weighted blanket. Yeah, not that.
Yeah, fuck space heaters.
Yeah, fuck space heaters. Like legit though. And then if you're still cold, pick up a Dusty Bender hockey podcast sweatshirt. Absolutely. Yeah. We have a very cool design down the pike. Like we're very excited about it. So that'll be coming out. I would say, maybe we could get out before Christmas. We'll see. See how that happens. All right. Anything else on sponsors, Taylor?
THPN Hockey Podcast Network, check it out. We shout them out every week, but it's a great space to go get some different podcasts. If you get sick of hearing our voice, or you just get to the end of our episode, realistically, right? You're not sick of us, so
that's right.
Yeah, you want to listen to some other teams or other options for even the Kraken stuff. Definitely go check out the Hockey Podcast Network. And yeah, great little setup.
Love it.
Cool.
All right. What's on the agenda today, Mr. Wells?
Well, we already talked about the senior advisor, so we'll go ahead and jump to just a little bit of news. I think not a huge trade, but something we wanted to kind of bring up real quick just to fill folks in. Yep. The Columbus Blue Jackets have sent Eric Robinson to the Buffalo Sabers for a 2025 7th round pick. I believe it's conditional as well. Everything's conditional now when it comes to picks. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Buffalo's struggling a little bit. They do have some injuries there in Buffalo. I was watching a Buffalo game the other day, and they were bringing up some of them. Yeah, Tuck's down. They got a couple other guys and just struggling around. The interesting part of this is it came almost immediately after, I think it was the Carolina game, where Cousins actually in an interview said that the team is way too soft and they need a little more FU in their game. So it was a really interesting trade in order for Buffalo to go get a guy like Aaron Robinson, who isn't, he just isn't a prototypical Tom Wilson, Reeves, one of those guys, but definitely brings a little bit of nasty to his game, right? That's just the fourth line guy. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do in Buffalo because, even a young player like Cousins, who isn't really a big guy, he threw a couple punches at Crosby. Not really a big bruiser guy himself. He's more known as a point guy, but even him saying we need a little more FU in our game, that's a big tell. And they went out and got someone that brings a little bit of FU. So interesting trade.
You think this kind of ties into what Torts was talking about? Like this is, I mean, Torts' comments that we talked about a little bit about in the last episode have really sparked some debate. Talking about the old age and even like guys that we grew up with. It's basically guys have played the game versus media members who haven't played the game, who want
Right.
to see like fighting and hitting completely taken out of the game. External factors, and the sad part is though, like those individuals usually have more of a say on what the game looks like than the people who have played.
Right.
So their opinion actually does matter. Normally I'd sit here and be like, who gives a fuck what Greg Wyshynski thinks? He's just a media guy. But these individuals do have the power to influence what the NHL thinks is popular, not what is popular, what they think is popular. So I kind of reeling it back in, like, is because we sit here on one hand, you and I think could argue that yeah, that team is on paper, that's a lot of talented, speedy dudes
Mm-hmm.
that there's no denying that roster is talented. But yeah, when I look at it, I don't see a lot of grit. I don't see a lot of jam. I don't see a lot of banging in the boards and mucking it up kind of stuff. But in the same breath, like if Buffalo makes a trade for Ryan Reeves, we're going to sit here and go, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Right.
So I think we've come into a world where Torts is kind of right in the sense that we need players that can score, the Tom Wilsons of the world. Not to necessarily give Tom Wilson too much credit, but I mean, this was a guy that is known as a bruiser, known as a tough guy, can throw the hits, bang the bodies, and still put up 25 goals a year.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
Ryan Reeves skates 4 minutes a night and will give up 2 goals a night if he's on the ice for too long.
Well, and I think a good side of this, right? Like, I think the overall tough guy, right? Like Ryan Reeves is still kind of valuable. I still find value in those kind of players, in a fourth line 4 minute role, like you're saying, right?
Three years ago, I would agree with you, but
Yeah,
now
yeah.
he is a defensive liability. Like
Well,
he's
100%, right? I think the last I checked, he was like, his line had been scored on like 25 times or
yeah,
something, and they'd
it's
scored like 5 goals, right?
yeah,
But I think what a guy like Aaron Robinson and some of these guys that aren't these prototypical just goons, right? I
mhm,
think what a lot of these guys bring is like with the quickness and just the overall skill in the NHL right now. What some of these guys that can throw the body around, Jacob Trouba, right? If you're playing against, say, Jacob Trouba, that's a
yep.
very, that's a name that it's a polarizing name, but
His game is multi-layered. Like
yeah,
Trouba can still contribute offensively while also
exactly.
playing defense and also being a tough guy. I was also about to say, not to cut your point off, the Kachucks.
Yeah, the
Like
Kachuk
that,
are
their
another great
style of
example.
play is like you know, 10 years ago, the Kachuk style of play was just style of play. Like,
Right.
everybody,
Everyone knew that.
if you couldn't bang and jam like the Kachucks do now, 10, 15 years ago, you weren't going to last in the league
Right.
because
Right.
it was more about like you had to be good, but you also had to be fucking tough.
Well, and I think there's a whole other side of this, and this is kind of to your point as well, right? Someone who didn't never played the game, wasn't on the ice, didn't feel that energy of being on an actual NHL team. A guy like Kachucks or Robinson or Truba
Sure.
lays one guy out during a game, or you at least he hasn't even done this yet, but he knows that that guy's on the ice.
Yep.
You're basically like the player that's going into the corner, knowing that Eric Robinson is the one that's forechecking him, is going to rush that breakout, right?
Yep.
There's a good chance that there's going to be a turnover, and I think that brings a lot of value to a team, not even from a fourth line level. I think there's value in that from a checking line role in third, or even as a defensive role in the second. So, is this going to turn the Buffalo Sabres season around? Probably not,
No.
but I just there's not a lot of other jam on this team, right? So they had to do something. There's a ton of what is, I mean, maybe Connor Clifton, is probably, and Okposo were probably their two tougher guys on this roster, and that's just not going to cut it, even in today's league. So Yeah, not a bad trade, and they really only gave up a 25th, 7th round pick, right? So
which is
it's just
nothing. Like
nothing. It's literally
that
zero.
individual might make an AHL roster one day. Like
No, I mean he's ECHL bound.
right,
Like,
yeah,
it's just
we
it's
can go
crazy.
we can go check out his games in Boise here fairly soon. So
Sure, sure. There you go.
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
go watch him.
that means nothing. So no, I definitely understand that. In terms of this trade, it's not the most influential thing to me on this trade was, is this just the start of Columbus starting to sell? Like, is this just the cherry on top of what's to come of this team? I think I don't know. It still is early. We're 25 games in, about a quarter of the season through, a little over a quarter of the season. Uh, if you're even the most optimistic team in hockey is trying to say like, oh, we're last place, but the Blues won it that one year. But let's be real. Is Columbus going to get it together and make a massive comeback here to make the playoffs? Probably not.
Now Elvis is on IR too, so it's just
That doesn't help.
everything's working against them.
That doesn't
This
help.
team there's a set of teams in the NHL every year that should be thinking sell, 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 even from the start, right? And maybe Columbus thought, oh, we got Fantilli at 3, we brought in Line and Goudreau, we brought in Provorov, we did all this stuff to our team. Maybe they were optimistic. At this point, they need to be saying, okay, who's going to be here in 5 years when this team could potentially make a push?
If
They're already there.
And Yarmo's seat's got to be hot at bare minimum.
I think he's probably gone at this point, dude.
I would wonder if it might be a thing where they just let his contract run out. It's kind of like Kenny Holland. It's like kind of Kenny Holland up in Edmonton. Like
Right.
this is his last year. They're not going to fire him because they respect him, but he's not getting re-signed.
100%.
I could see that, and unfortunately for Columbus, it might be a situation where I'm not saying blow it up implies you get rid of everybody, which there are some great young. We've talked about it before. There's some great young pieces on this team that just kind of need some veteran presence, veteran leadership. What do they say in season 2? Veteran presence.
Veteran presence.
Yeah, Shoresy season 2 rather. This team, but you're not going to get that veteran presence from. You're definitely not going to get it from Line A. You should be getting it from Johnny Gaudreau, but it kind of seems like Johnny Gaudreau is like on lithium and just kind of going through his life. Yeah, he doesn't look excited. He doesn't look like he's happy to be there. Kind of looks like he's just showing up to the rink and collecting a paycheck, unfortunately.
Would you be, though? I mean, okay, so the other point I wanted to make with Columbus.
He's supposed to be the spark. They brought him in to try to keep this from happening.
100%. 100%. Line is getting 14 minutes a night, right? Kent Johnson was in the AHL until very recently.
Yeah.
Adam Fantilli is only getting 13, 14 minutes a night.
Yep.
David Jiricek on the back end. That's just a lot of talent that Gaudreau is not seeing because of the coaching staff. And maybe it's even goes higher. Maybe it goes into the front office and stuff, trying to hold these kids back a little bit. What the fuck? Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
I should be seeing Fantilli with Goudreau. I should be seeing fucking Kent Johnson and Patrick Laine, right? Like, it's just, why not? Like, at this point in the season,
I like this Voronkov kid too.
Yeah, got a little bit of jam with him, right?
Yeah.
There's just it's crazy. It's crazy, and yes, right? They weren't prepared for Babcock to get canned before the season even started. Like, I understand that, but you like, at some point Jarmo has to have that conversation with the coach and say, look, start playing some of these guys, because it is an absolute sin to see Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson on a third line. That's a fucking joke to me, dude.
Especially when they're playing better than most. I mean, you're still hoping. You're hoping Johnny Gaudreau pulls it together. You're hoping Line A comes advertised. But fuck, man, I'm sitting here thinking of like, all right, if you're caring about the future, like if we're just building the Columbus Blue Jackets right now, like I can get a pretty penny right now for Johnny, even though he's not playing well. I can get a pretty penny for Johnny Gaudreau. I don't know if he's got a no trade clause, but I could get some good money for him. Line A, Oh, Line is going to be like a Pierre-Luc Dubois situation where like you're going to have to ask Line where he wants to go, because if you trade him somewhere where he doesn't, he's going to have no value because he's going to do what he's currently doing.
He's not. If I have anything to do with the Columbus Blue Jackets, Patrick Laine's not going anywhere. He's
Really?
25. He's 25 years old. He is.
To me, he's a Matt Duchene. He's poison in the locker room.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Guy's not a leader. Guy doesn't want to fucking play.
He does not need to be. He
But,
has
but
guys
that's
like
but that's the role that they put him in.
right. So that's
He's
a coaching
supposed to
issue.
be a leader on this team.
Right. So that's a coaching issue. Right. If you're asking Patrick
Agreed.
Laine to be a leader on this team, when you have a Boone Jenner, when you got a Johnny Gaudreau, when you have a Zach Werenski, Patrick Laine is not a fucking leader. We all know that.
No,
he is a
he's not.
he is for BoJack Horseman. He is a Phil Kessel type. Right, he is literally just the goal scorer. That's what he's there for. Use him to what he's supposed to be doing. Giving him 14 minutes.
He's playing fucking Fortnite on his Switch in the locker room stuff.
He can do whatever the fuck he wants. He can get hot. He can get so fucking hot at any time. You just keep that guy happy. He can play Fortnite on the fucking bench in between shifts if he's gonna go out the next fucking shift and go score me a goal like I know he can do. Right? They're just they're mismanaging the entire team. That coach is mismanaging the whole team.
But the only leader on this team right now, and to his credit, Boone Jenner. I know you wouldn't do it because he is truly the only leader on this team right now. But man, Boone Jenner's value is at an all-time fucking high. Like
I agree. I agree. The last 2 years he's been pretty decent, dude.
It could be like a Foligno situation where you could get a king's ransom for this dude and
to play third line somewhere else.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like it'd be the deadline and like, oh, we could use a Foligno, Rick Nash, Boone Jenner type to round out our third line. And they would pay a king's ransom for this guy to go play third line minutes on a cup contender.
If that's what they want to do, and it means that Adam Fantilli can move into that first line role, and I can have or Ken Johnson up there.
Are you trying to say that the Boston Bruins would not pay a first plus assets for Boone Jenner at the deadline? They will. They would.
I don't know if you get it. Well, fuck. I mean, Tampa Bay fucked this whole conversation up by throwing an entire draft class at Tanner at fucking Jeannot.
Yeah. That's an outlier. But even Toronto, like if the conversation comes up around the deadline, they need defense help right now. That's another issue.
Yeah.
But even if they came around, like say they needed a center, like if Columbus is second to last, why not? Let's throw our 2029
sneaky West Coast team for a Boone Jenner. Vancouver Canucks, baby.
They also need defensive help, but I don't disagree with you.
They could use it. They could use a technically, like Boone Jenner should be a defensively third line center, right?
Yeah.
With a little bit of offense. That's what he should be, and that's what Vancouver needs.
Yeah. No, if I'm the GM and I'm looking to completely rebuild this team, like Laine, well, okay, you're right. Laine can stay for the point that I'll take that back. But Boone Jenner and Johnny Gaudreau, I'm selling for a king's ransom at the deadline and building up my fucking war chest and making Adam Fantilli my first line center, flanked by Patrick Laine.
100%. Johnny Gaudreau gets hot, sell him. He probably has a no trade. We're just talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much the only person from the old guard that I'm keeping is Zach Werenski.
Fuck yeah, dude. Why not? He's a stud. But Juracek should be getting more time. The kid is great 2-way D. It's just mismanaging all over that entire organization.
Dude, Texier's good. Fantilli's good. Kent Johnson's good. Bremstrom is good. Chinikov is good. Voronkov has got fucking jam. Marchenko's fucking great.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
I don't know what he's doing there. There's some good talent on this roster.
Tanking on purpose.
Maybe the IR here is
pretty nasty.
Quite significant.
That is pretty nasty.
Yeah, it's there's something that needs to be said about that. That and Chet Greaves. Holy fuck.
Don't get on Jet's case,
Dude,
dude. What are you
Jet
doing?
Greaves? Oh my god,
Jet's
what
a
a name.
stud, dude. Jet is an
Dude,
absolute stud. Let's get
Jet,
Jet on the show, bro.
what is Jet's stats right now? Jet Greaves. What does he do? Is he with the Lake Erie Monsters? He's gotta be.
No, I think he zams the ice for Columbus. I think he's technically like the cannon guy there.
Jet
Like
Greaves. So for those who don't see our YouTube channel, Jet Greaves is currently the backup. He'd be the third string under normal circumstances, but he's the backup goalie behind Spencer Martin, who I actually did watch in a game, and he played okay.
Yeah, I see. He played for Vancouver for a little bit. He's not terrible.
Okay.
He played for Vancouver last year.
Jet Greaves is 22 years old and has been playing with the Cleveland Monsters. Born in 2001. That makes me want to vomit.
Yuck, dude. Fucking young buck.
Ugh, damn.
He probably doesn't even have a 401k, dude.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
At 22 years old, born in Cambridge, Ontario, playing with the Cleveland Monsters. All right, well, with a name like Jet Greaves, I'm rooting for the kid.
Fuck yeah, dude! I want him on I'm gonna pick him up in fantasy.
You might as well.
I might as well, dude. Fucking Mike, I have 2 goalies on IR right now, and they're not even good goalies. Like my 2 goalies are on IR that I'm holding on to.
Spencer Martin's gonna get some playing time here soon on your roster.
I picked him up. I picked up Dustin Wolf instead, but Jesus Christ,
boy, we're really splitting hairs here, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, fuck, dude. Oh shit! All right, what do we got? What do we got next?
What is next?
I want to get your quick opinion because we kind of got to move on a little bit. But Kaner tonight. What'd you think, dude? What'd you think about him? I got to watch a little bit of this game.
So, I watched very closely the first and second periods, and then I turned it off, and then turned it on the last 5 minutes and watched OT.
Oh, you jinxed it, bro. You're
no,
the jinx.
I jinxed it when I watched him get scored on 4 times in a row. Two shorties back to back. Yeah,
the 2 shorties are a dagger.
Specifically on Kane, watching him, his line was the only line to not get a goal. Which is
weird. They had a ton of chances though.
So many chances. So if everybody's looking here, like in a bubble, just looking at Kane's play, like his vision and his hockey sense are still there, man. Like the guy is just smart. His hands are still good. He definitely showed that he has not played a high intensity game in 6 to 7 months. Patrick Kane of 2 years ago would not hit the post 3 times like he did. Like that's an embellishment. He hit the post once, but he had
he hit the crossbar once. So
he had many good looks tonight. Many good looks, and I think maybe that has something to do with. There could also be an element of usually he's the guy who dishes it to DeBrincat, not the other way. I did notice that it felt like everybody was trying once it felt like it was 4 rip, 3 rip. It felt like everybody was trying very hard to get Kane that goal.
Just get Kane the puck, yeah.
Right, get Kane the puck. And I think maybe there was a little too much pressure on him to do. Well, okay, I take that statement back. There's no such thing as too much pressure for Patrick Kane. He's won this cup 3 fucking times. But it's a situation where he just wasn't ready for it. I think he's getting back into the groove. We were just talking with our buddy Bobby Ryan over DMs on Twitter, and it's game 1.
Yeah. Like
this is his first game back, and I think for his first game back after 7 months and practicing with the team for only 3 days, I think he did just fine. They did not lose that game because of Patrick Kane.
Oh God, no! They lost it because they are afraid to play Lion on a full schedule.
The defense the defense is terrible. You're not wrong. That's not the reason, but it's definitely a reason. Yeah,
sure. You know what? It's funny. It's funny because the Kane that I saw tonight, even after surgery and taking a good portion of the season off, he reminded me of the Kane that we've seen the last few years that still technically has it. I mean, he's not the dominant force that he was, but he could easily be a point per game guy. And look, this is what my wife and I were talking about as we were watching the game. His goal for the first 5 to 10 games, don't get fucking hurt.
Right.
That's what he's there for.
Yeah.
Do not get hurt.
And I wasn't worried. I watched him. He was skating fast.
Oh,
he was
like
I'm not worried about.
dude.
Wasn't worried about his skating. Like that was not like it's when you haven't been in a game time situation, you have to make those snap judgments and take those quick shots and hit them with pinpoint accuracy. You're gonna have some margin of error. You're gonna
Sure.
have a break-in period. Like your shot's not going to be exactly the same as it was 7 months ago in a game situation.
Right.
Um, but conditioning and whatnot, dude, it didn't look like he was slow or anything. Like he was keeping with the play. If anything, he was kind of leading it sometimes. That is not. I'm not worried about Patrick Kane.
He got more and more comfortable as the game went on. So the third period, he hit that pipe. Great, just good positioning to basically to pick that puck off, go in. I honestly, the way that the puck came out, I thought it was in. So Morgan was like, oh, it hit the pipe. But I swear to God, I was like, that's a fucking goal. And maybe it's because we had money on it. But I was like,
thanks for reminding me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so we lost money. But so that one, he there was a turnover in their own zone that he created, and he busted his ass back, broke up the play behind the net. Just that's the kind of stuff you want to see in his first game back. Just being able to battle, having that next speed, right? Having that energy to get to that next level and basically say, hey, look, I'm just chopping some of the rust off of this fucking pipe, dude, right? Like, it's just, that's all he was doing this game, and he had a bunch of chances. So I would not be surprised, especially with this team, the way that they kind of spread out those lines and stuff a little bit and mess with the power play. I would not be surprised if this guy's going to put up a fucking point per game, and it's just going to elevate. It's just going to elevate the Red Wings, dude.
Casual fans and critics of the Red Wings who have been they've been waiting 15 years to finally lay into the Red Wings because the Red Wings were a fun punching bag for our entire childhood because they were so good. I mean, their success makes them. Anytime that your team is good for an extended period of time, like I sit here and laugh at, like, there are people who genuinely hate you. You hate the LA Kings.
Sure.
And it just, to me, it's like, I don't know. I just kind of nothing the Kings, which is why they're kind of on our list tonight of talking about them. But in any case, I'm not worried about Kane. I think that he looked comfortable. He looked fine. They did not lose that game because of Patrick Kane. We'll put it that way.
Dude. God, no.
That team has issues going before Patrick Kane. They have issues with holding a lead, and the defense is, I mean, it's not good. And then on top of that,
we've talked about the defense. Yeah, so that's a little spotty.
It's not good. And Ville Husso is an adequate goalie, but not a good goalie, and that's an issue. Hopefully, Alex. I think they're just paranoid that if they give Alex Lyon too much room, he's going to fuck it up. But
sure.
I don't know.
Or he's going to want a contract.
Right. The answer is not James Reimer. So.
Oh God, no. The other one that cracked me up. There's about 14 seconds left in the game. It's the last thing I'll say on it. There's about 14 seconds left in the game. Larkin got into it with a fucking no-name D on the Sharks. The D on the Sharks got close to his head, right? Like, he got his stick a little close to his head, and Larkin threw his head back like it was a professional diving competition, and I fucking died laughing, dude. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Larkin, I know what you're doing, but that's terrible.
Larkin's got a fucking, I mean, going back to the Jamie Benn shit, why I will never like Jamie Benn. I don't give a flying fuck. If he helps blind homeless orphans, like, I still don't care. Like, I genuinely don't like
just to make you feel better.
He doesn't. I don't. Well, I mean, I don't really know. I don't think.
He doesn't do that.
He doesn't do that. Yeah, we know that. In fact, I think he throws rocks at them.
Yeah, I've seen him outside of the.
He goes to the blind orphanage and throws rocks at them. That's true. Google it.
It still can't hit him. Yeah, he's a terrible throw.
He throws like a girl.
Yeah, he throws left-handed. Yeah.
So I don't like him, but Larkin has a history of neck injuries and that kind of shit. So maybe he was being maybe he was trying to sell it. Maybe he was being overcautious and paranoid. I don't know. I've gotten to that point kind of where I will. With me, do
his best.
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's more likely that he tried to sell it, but like for me, like I've separated the shoulder 3 times now. If it ever makes large contact with somebody like that, I like there's almost something in my mind, like I'm instinctually trying to like guard it, or think that I've hurt it. It's just like the first thing that goes to mind because I've fucking done it 3 times. So,
sure.
So, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, he was most likely trying to sell it.
Sure. Cool. Chance, let's jump into a little bit of sponsor information here, and then we'll continue.
Tell me a little bit about DraftKings.
DraftKings Sportsbook. Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. As we brought up last time, they have some great odds. There's a lot of good games that are going on right now. Go ahead this weekend. You get a little bored, you get a little drunk with your buddies. Getting close to the holiday season. You feel like you're just rolling in the dough. Go ahead and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Check out some of those lines. Chance and I threw a little bit of money down tonight on Kaner getting a point, and unfortunately, he disappointed us a little bit. He did not get 4 shots on goals, though, so we would have lost either way.
Fair.
But definitely go check out DraftKings Sportsbook for some of those good betting odds. Download the app now and use code THPN as in the Hockey Podcast Network. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the NHL Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved.
Nice.
We did. We lost a little money today, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. That was pretty good.
Well,
Devils up 1-0 after 1.
Who was it?
It was fucking Andre Palat.
Palat, huh?
Mhm.
Second line.
And Akira has saved 10 shots.
Okay. That's not bad from the Kraken. This is way off topic, but this week I'm playing in my other fantasy league. So we're in one together, you and me against each other in one, and then I got another league I play with some buddies from back home. In that league, in my home league, the guy that I'm playing has a very similar team to my team in our league that we play against each other in the Idaho League. So it's just a lose-lose, dude. Like, literally, like, Barzal had 2 goals and an assist tonight, and I was like, fuck yeah, but fuck you, right? Like, it's terrible. And he's got Jack Hughes, he's got, like, a bunch of guys that I have. So, yeah, it's a lose-lose situation there for fantasy this week, so we'll see what happens.
Fantasies, we can say that to the end, but, man, the Dusty Bender team will never lose again.
It's honestly, it's a cheat code. Did we cheat?
We must have. We knew exactly how a 20-team league was going to work, even though we've never been in one before.
It's crazy.
And we can't. We are currently losing right now, but
I was very impressed with our drafting strategy because, like, you and I do differ on a lot of things, especially when it comes to fantasy. And we had this plan. It was like, okay, Chance picked this one. Now it's kind of Taylor's turn, unless like Chance has a really good guy at this spot that he wants to pick.
We always ran the next. We ran it by.
Crushed it, dude. It was fucking crush show.
Yeah, we got a solid squad. Tonight not so good, but normally it's pretty good. God, what a pickup on Cam York, man! 1 goal, 1 assist.
Yeah, buddy. Well, he hadn't done anything in 2 games, so I was getting a little nervous for my pickup. But let's jump into we kind of got a little off topic, but we were talking about the Kraken game tonight. So there's a couple guys in the lineup tonight that we wanted to talk about with the Kraken. Chance, are you like which one of these guys are you more excited about? Are you excited about the young D coming up from Coachella, or are you excited to have the big dog himself back in the lineup?
I mean, raw potential. I'm more excited about Riker Evans coming into the lineup, but with Hackstall, I feel like what's that insufferable New Jersey account, the Brat Pack or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's that like people love hate that account so much. And but they have this like scale of like fire Lindy, extend
Yuck.
Lindy. Like and it just
Yeah.
it's a funny thing. Like it goes back and forth like all the time. Like that's I'm not necessarily that extreme, but right now I'm really not liking what Hackstall is doing with this team
I agree.
and bringing up Riker Evans and putting it. But this kind of just goes into a philosophy of like, look, if you're bringing up young, talented guys that are possibly going to be the future of a team, I'm not even necessarily talking about the Kraken. I'm talking about any NHL roster in general. Why the fuck would you put them on the fourth line?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Like, if you're bringing them up, they're obviously talented enough to be into the lineup, or at least potentially in the future. So throwing them on a fourth line with two plugs that are basically their only goal is just to not get scored on. Generally speaking, the Kraken fourth line is different. I get that, but it's especially when you're playing defense, and that's Riker. Riker is he's on the third bottom defensive pairing. Like, why? Why would you do that?
I it's so weird
Sticking
because
in with Brian Dumoulin? Are you fucking kidding me?
yeah, and you and I did make a post. We are kind of speculating on what this D pairing, what this D core might look like for the Kraken with Riker Evans coming into the lineup. And don't get me wrong, right? I differ from you a little bit because I do think from a defensive standpoint, it's much tougher for an NHL level coach to say young kid has had success at the AHL level, bring him up, throw him into a second line. Potentially, there was people who were talking about throwing him on the first line, right?
That's
Dropping Vince Dunn down.
Oh
So
no, not Vince. I would have split Larson and Dunn up, and
but I wouldn't. Riker Evans and Dunn is not a good pairing. But anyways,
I think it would
so
go well. But anyway,
that's too much offense, not enough defense. Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. So, but to your point, right? And I saw a couple people who were kind of patting themselves on the back, saying, "I knew he was going to slot in for Justin Schultz, right? Like I knew it, I knew it." And
No,
that's
I think the smart money would have actually been on Dumoulin.
100%, and I'm with you 100% there. So I think what we decided kind of collectively very quickly, we would have shook it up a little bit. I don't know. You and I differed a little bit. That Vince Dunn Larson combo is still fine. I think that would have been a total shakeup if you would have broke those two up.
It's too stacked. It's too stacked. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not. I'm not arguing that the line is good. Like it's our only solid defensive line. Vince Dunn and Adam Larson are the only like solid defensive line that we have, and it's
Sure.
because it's also a little offensive. But that's the problem. Is like when they're off the ice,
Right.
we're
What's our
fucked.
option? Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're screwed. Like Jamie
Right.
Elysiak and Will Borgen are a third pairing defensive line.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of Kraken fans that would disagree with you, which is crazy to me.
A lot of
And
Kraken fans are blinded by the love of the player. And
sure.
look, we kind of wanted to talk about this too because there's a difference between like loving the team but wanting what's best for it and then like being in love with a player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like you can love a player, that's great. Like there are people who, the folks remember in the summer we had that whole book talk thing where like everybody loves Alex Wenberg and he's fucking hot. I'm going to put him in my next 50 Shades of Grey book.
Sure.
Okay, that's great. Okay, that's awesome. You can think Alex Wenberg's handsome. He is handsome. He's a handsome man. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm not
going to deny that.
that's not there's no denying this, okay? But I can sit here from an objective perspective and look at how I am going to design this team to win. Alex Wenberg is not a second line center.
Right.
It's just he's just not. Like the number of times I have to correct people, they're like, he's really good defensively, and I'm like, and that is a great quality in a third to fourth line center.
Right. In this NHL, right? Like a defense. You and I have talked about this before. A strictly defensive center was okay in a second line role 5 years ago.
Correct.
We're not there anymore.
No.
We need that second line center.
That's
to
secondary scoring.
In
In
yes,
fact,
exactly.
the best
it has
teams,
to be a two-way.
The best teams, your second line is just as good as your first line.
Your second line is defensive because they're in the offensive zone.
Correct.
The whole fucking time.
Yeah.
So okay, Wenberg's a whole other situation. I don't want you to
Right.
get too far
Right.
off
Let's
of
go back to
Jamie
Riker. Let's
Oleksiak.
go back to Riker.
Yeah, Jamie Oleksiak. Yeah, so so my mind was where the problem is. So yeah, so
You're already making the raft that we're gonna push Jamie Elysiak into Puget
yes,
Sound on, right?
that's right, dude.
It's gonna be like a live Viking funeral.
Yeah,
Like
I have a ton of shit in my garage that I need to just sell, and I'm gonna just mash it all together and put him on it.
bungee cords, just fucking
Yeah,
lash
I'm
it
gonna
all
fucking
together.
wrap it around. I got like 6 spools of string. I'm just gonna fucking get it, and he's gonna be. He's not even gonna fit on it because he's what, like 6'5" or something.
At
He's not even
least,
gonna
yeah,
fit all the way. His feet are gonna be off the edges, but
sure.
he's gone.
This is like a Jack Titanic situation with a door.
100%. I'm
Uh-huh.
pushing him off the front of the fucking boat. um, but yeah. So that second line. So there was people that were bringing up data and stuff like that. And look, I love data. Data is what I do every fucking day of my life. But I know hockey, right?
Nerd.
So yeah, so I'm a nerd. But like I know hockey at the same time. And watching these two at the beginning of the season, they actually were a pretty decent D pair. Recently, garbage. Literally, like this last game.
That was gonna
Uh,
happen. It wasn't gonna work on an
it
82 game season.
Yes, it was never going to last 82 games with those two guys. So that's the second pairing is who I wanted to break up. Dumoulin should have been out. There's absolutely no excuse that
Well,
Dumoulin is still in this. He's a terrible defender. He's
we're
terrible.
trading seats on the Titanic here, though. Like, I mean,
100%.
once you get past the first line, there's just not there's Riker Evans is good. Like he's hopeful, but
Mhm.
other than that, Will Borgen is a third line D guy. Elysiak's a third line D guy. Dumoulin's a third line borderline AHL guy.
Right.
Megna's down on an AHL fucking. He's been loaned to Coachella for 14 days.
Horrible trade, by the way.
Yeah.
But yes, but what you needed to do was if you're Hacksaw, if you are a good NHL coach, you figure out the player that's going to benefit this young player that is a part of your organization for the foreseeable future. You're going to find a partner that's going to allow him. He's not super. He's not like. He's not Vince Dunn where he's all offense. He does have a two-way game to him, but you're gonna you in your mind know who that player, that deep pairing guy is that you can put him with that's gonna have him succeed and bring out his offensive talents like he needs to be doing on this team. And Brian Dumoulin is not the one to do that, right? And is it Jamie Alexiak? Is it Will Borgen? I don't know, but those two based on the way that they've played at the beginning of the season and splitting them up could bring out better play out of them. One of those guys is who you needed to put him with, and it's a coaching mishap to put him with Brian Dumoulin tonight. I think it's a joke.
You're tying a ball and chain to him. Like I remember it reminds me of like the early years of Cider. Early years of Cider. God, we're getting old. Like Cider's first and second year where he's got a ball and chain on his fucking leg. Like it's you're stuck with a guy that's just absolutely bad. Like downright bad. And I don't know what else to do or what else to say about it. Like it's just a coaching issue that I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do. That's the sad part is it's just I don't Riker Evans needs if you're going to bring Riker Evans up, you just don't put him in this position. That's
you're asking him to fail.
Yeah, you're asking him to fail because you're basically asking him to play while also trying to cover Brian Dumoulin.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're asking too much out of the kid.
Right. You put these young kids in a position to succeed, not fail. And to me, like when you bring up young prospective kids, you don't bury them on the fourth line. Like we were talking about it before when Wright came up, last year and this year. Like putting Wright on the fourth line is just fucking dumb. Like why would you do that?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. Stash him on a third line or a second line and give him some minutes. Rotate him in. But this situation is just not. I can't. I don't understand it.
It's just it's a coaching mishap. But I don't yeah, we could probably do an entire podcast on the coaching mishaps that have been happening. Honestly, I mean we've been critical of Hacksaw since midway through season one,
Right.
right? So
So
like, what do we expect?
we're critical of Hackstall, and now it's time to be critical of Big Dick Francis. Okay.
Yes, yeah,
So
because yeah.
let me tee you up for this. So rumor comes out last night from our one of our favorite beat reporters on the Kraken, Bennett, I believe.
Mm.
I want to give proper credit here where credit is due.
While you're pulling that up, Chance, I do want
Yeah,
to say, so the
go
other
ahead.
name,
Go ahead.
uh, Burakovsky is back.
That's
Big
right.
big news for
Yep.
the Kraken
Yep.
forwards. So definitely adds a little bit of actual offensive talent, right? He's besides Bjorkstrand, Beniers and some of these guys, right? He's probably one of our most offensive talented players. So
Potentially.
good potentially. So good to see him back. It'll same thing with the Kane situation. Going to take a couple games, get him the rust off, and then we'll see where he's at because he actually didn't start the season so well. So
I
it'll be
wouldn't
interesting to
see
see where he's at.
I wouldn't see 100% Berkey until after the new year.
Yeah, it's probably a good
It's
guess.
all of December is going to be him getting back up to speed, and him getting injured again is definitely not going to help the situation. So
Fuck, man, just don't jinx him like that. He cannot stay healthy. He's
no,
just so slight. He's such a slight player.
yeah,
That's what those guys run into.
yep,
They're fucking paper thin, man.
yep. That's and kind of going back to our early conversation about like hockey players were just built different. I don't want to sound like one of the old 500 hockey men that said like we were just built tougher. It's not necessarily that. It's not like a character thing. It's more of just like you and I were trained. Like, when did you learn how to hit?
Pee
Squirt,
Wee's.
Pee Wee,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
Pee Wee.
Pee Wee was hitting time.
Okay, I same. I learned how to hit in Pee Wee.
Mm-hmm.
That was, or at least contact and that kind of stuff, rubbing people out on the boards.
Sure.
That's when you start that. Now, it's bantams or even shit. If you're playing in Canada, you're not even fucking learning hitting.
Yeah, sure.
It's
Yeah, you can't
you got,
even hit in the queue, right?
right, exactly. It's basically fucking basketball at this point. So
Sure.
it's those guys. It granted, recruited as credit is due. It helps them develop the skill side of their game. But when you get into a league where you have your head down for a second, guys like Jacob Trouba are gonna light you the fuck up. That's just how it's gonna be. Shout out, yeah. The reporter was Mike Benton. Mike's one of usually clued in on with the Seattle Kraken, and he's pretty good. We like to retweet his stuff quite a bit. He was saying that reports say that the Seattle Kraken have reached out to Montreal Canadiens regarding their goaltenders, presumably Caden Premu or Jake Allen. And you and I simultaneously gasped when we heard this. I think the problem with that is that those who are not familiar with the Montreal Canadiens situation, Sam Montembeault is definitely the best goaltender for the Canadiens, who are bottom dwellers. They're not necessarily as bad as Ottawa at the moment or Chicago, but they're not a playoff team, and I don't think they're even trying to make the playoffs at the moment. But it's so they're kind of in sellers mode. They're taking offers and that kind of thing. Their top goaltender right now is Sam Montembeault. Behind them is Jake Allen, who, for those who are not familiar with Jake Allen, has a wonderful mom, Susan.
Sure does.
She's absolutely just wonderful. She helps goalies out when they have a lot of pressure built up, and helps them out with that. So,
Yeah.
so got call back to like what, episode 1.
It was first of 10 for sure. I mean,
Susan Allen has been fucking a mainstay of this show since the beginning. Shout out to Susan. She's what a doll.
yeah.
But
The other one is what, Caden Premu?
Premu. So we talked about that, and
Yeah,
he's the young promising kid that's maybe in their system, but that one. So okay, let's address Jake Allen first. So Montembeault is the one that makes sense. Taylor, you brought that up off the mic. But they're not going to trade him because he's their only good goalie.
And they
so
just signed him. They just signed him for 3 years.
So he's not going
gonna
anywhere unless this is a sign and trade situation, which would be fucking bizarre. But
Sure.
so Jake Allen is next up. Jake Allen couldn't hack it with the Blues. They famously, benched him for Jake Bennington and then won the Stanley Cup, and then they immediately got rid of Jake Allen. Banished him to Montreal. He was the de facto starter in Montreal for a while because they've been just terrible. Now his name is floating with the Seattle Kraken, which you're getting a less good Grubauer.
Yeah,
Like,
they're terrible.
doesn't make
There's
sense. And
terrible
Primo,
ownership.
like, if you're trying to give me the, well, he's young and talented, then stick with Joey Dackert. Like that, it's, if you're upset right now, like Grubauer is past his prime and Joey's just not there yet.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
give Joey 2 or 3 years to cook, and he's going to be a good goalie.
Well, and I don't know if I can't remember if it was Emerald City or Kraken Pod. So shout out to both those guys. They're, I mean, good podcast if you want to check them out. But it just one of them was basically saying you're actually getting a worse Joey Dackert if you are
That's
trading
fair.
for Caden Primo. So
That's fair.
I
Not to
just
mention Drager waiting in the wings.
Drager's down there too, and it's such a bizarre. And I think you're the one that brought it up offline, right? Like if you're at this point where you're like Grubauer ain't it, Joey's not it. Why are you bringing in the same or worse goaltenders, or even looking at them? And again, these are rumors, right? These are things that could potentially be completely bullshit.
Sure.
But why there's always a little bit of truth to these. We see this a lot, right? Like, oh, they're rumors, like don't fucking listen to them. And then 2 days later they have Jake Allen on their fucking team. Right? So it's just like but why would we be doing that? There needs to be, I know it's in the same division, you need to be checking on Gibson. You need to be checking on some of these other attendees that are on the market. It's just, from what I've heard, Boston's not willing to move either of those two goalies,
Which is fine.
which is understandable, which is completely fine. Unfortunately, you made this bed, right? You made this bed with Grubauer and Dackert. Your team is okay. It's subpar. And maybe that's why Primo is even in the consideration, is like the Kraken are thinking, fuck it, like this, maybe he does become our future goaltender.
To put it in more like, if you're not familiar with Montreal, put it in terms of like, if they were like, yeah, the Kraken are kicking tires on Peter Mrazek. Like, why? Why would you do that?
Well, that's Jake Allen, right? I mean, yeah, you could Mrazek to Jake Allen, I think.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
to me, Primo doesn't make sense. We've got two Primos. Like we've right. Joey's young and Drieger's young. Like those two guys are. That doesn't make sense at all. Because I mean, say, and in any case, like I would assume that you're trading a goalie for a goalie. Like you can't bring in a goalie and not get rid of one. What would you do? Send Joey back down to the AHL?
I don't know.
That would be a huge fucking detriment to his development and this team.
Yeah. They just, that's not as much as, and you and I have talked about it in previous podcasts this season. It's not really all on the tendies, right? There is a big push, and that's why Riker Evans got brought up, is there is a big realization, I think, that's happening with the D being one of the bigger problems. So that's where you should be. Why are you trading out goaltenders? You're essentially saying, I'll give you, to put it in a Pokemon standpoint, right? Like, I'll trade you my Blastoise for fucking Venusaur, right? Like,
right.
We're literally trading the same fucking thing.
Right. It's problem child for problem child, hoping that a new change of scenery does it, and that's just not. It's Jake Allen is not. Stop trying to make Jake Allen work. It's not. It's just not going to work. It's like when the Devils finally moved on from Mackenzie Blackwood after giving him chance after chance after chance. And, he went to San Jose because San Jose's trying to be... They got Mackenzie Blackwood because they're trying to be bad.
Right. And they still beat your Red Wings, but it's fine.
He got pulled after 4 goals.
Mm. Yeah. Anyways, I just... Yeah. Goalie-wise for the Kraken, that makes no fucking sense.
No, it does. If you're going to change the goalie, get a better goalie.
Sure. Stick with one of these two, or get... Or and that's the thing, is the goalie market is tough, and Ron Francis does not like to make... He's not a trade guy. Ron Francis is a draft guy, right?
Which is infuriating.
As a GM, you have to be everything. You have to be a trade guy. You got to be a draft guy. So it'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of that. I don't know if it will. Even Merzlikins, right? You and I have talked about Merzlikins. I do think Merzlikins is still a good goalie.
I do too.
Would he be a successful goalie on this team
if
more
you've got
than Grubauer is?
But
I don't know.
Is the Seattle defense all that better than The Columbus defense?
No, I think it's probably worse, right? Like I don't know,
It's
man.
probably the same, if not worse. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
this isn't their area for trouble. And at some point we are going to see these young guys starting to get meshed into this lineup because the way that they're going right now, again, they were losing last we checked on them, right? So at some point you got to just say, look, and maybe it's the new year, right? Maybe it's the new year. You got to move some of your forwards to get some potential defensemen that can work. Yeah, Brian Dumoulin is looking like a fucking garbage offseason acquisition. So
Oh, I mean, look at all of Francis's. I think that just compounds like Francis's paranoia to not do any moves like this because he's like
well, he hates it.
everything's just bitten him in the ass. Like he tries to do these things and immediately comes back to bite him because I don't know if he thinks he's bad at it or whatever. I mean, history would show that he's not good at it.
Yeah, I think to your point, or kind of what you were alluding to, he's afraid to make that move because it could bite him in the ass, right? Like it's just not having that confidence to say, you know what, I'm just gonna go get fucking John Gibson, and if he is actually shitty and the Ducks, have their coaching and their defensive play hasn't actually affected the way that he plays, fuck it. You know what I mean?
It shows that he's gullible. Like we saw this with the Megna trade. Like he fell for that hook, line, and sinker. Like Megna was on a line with with Eric Carlson, who was having a goddamn renaissance year, and was thinking that Megna might have contributed this in some way. No, Megna's a fucking no name. Okay,
he's a coattail, bro.
He's a plug. Like this, we wouldn't even know his name if he wasn't skating with Eric Carlson.
Sure.
And that was 1 year. Eric Carlson's not have. What is the stat right now for the Pens? They're like 0 for 31 on the power play or something.
Yeah, but none of that. Not all of that is him. But
no.
But Carlson's still having a decent year. It's not a world beating year like he did on San Jose, which is so fucking weird. But yeah. Okay, let's get off this for a little bit. I want to jump to something real quick, and then we'll kind of, we have a couple teams that we want to talk about.
Hit me.
The cap. So we had our winter, or I call them winter meetings. That's MLB. But we had our meetings between the GMs and the NHL themselves. The cap currently is at 83.5 this season. It is going up to 87.7 chance. This is the highest increase that we've had in say 2019 and 2020, which isn't that long ago, but realistically, I mean, that's 4.2 million a year. That's a potential second line center winger, right, for a lot of teams. So a big jump there. Obviously that'll even out with just some of the top guys needing some contracts and stuff like that. But the NHL is also projecting revenue. They projected it in October when they were kind of calculating all this stuff, and they brought it up in the meetings, $6 billion. So the NHL is doing very well, even with their board ads, even with some of the shit that they've done with the LGBTQ, the Fleury helmet bullshit that went
doesn't
down.
Matter.
That
They're
Fleury
making
was
plenty
basically
of money.
like, fuck it, they're making so much money, it doesn't matter, and they don't care. They're gonna hold those kind of values, and they're gonna continue to rake it in. So yeah, the NHL. I don't know what those numbers look like compared to say NBA, MLB, MLS, NFL. Obviously, is just
Probably lower, but
probably lower. But those numbers are still pretty good in order to move the cap from 83.5 to 87.7.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty interesting situation there. So definitely something we want to touch on. The other thing. Do you got thoughts on that?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
I think that it's anytime that there's a cap raise, it's generally speaking, it's everybody. Oh, this is going to help the league in general. In reality, this only really helps the rich teams. When you've got teams that are like the Coyotes and whatnot that are just trying to hit the cap floor,
sure.
They don't give a flying fuck that the cap's raising.
Sure.
Like they're spending the bare minimum that they have to stay in the league. So this only helps out the Bostons and Torontos and Detroits and the markets that have not necessarily the good markets or the good teams. I want to differentiate that. Like it's not necessarily the good teams that this benefits. It benefits the rich teams.
Sure.
It benefits. because that gives Boston, another $8 million to go out and find their second line center. They don't so they don't
Sure.
have to have Pavel Zacha at their 1C.
Sure. I
You
mean,
know,
it's the same thing with increasing minimum wage. It just means that living expenses are also going to go
right?
up. So,
Exactly. Yeah,
right.
that's supply and demand. And so this is going to help Vegas. This is going to help all the teams that are currently up against the cap. This is going to help them. Any of the if you're thinking like, oh, this will help out the Coyotes and this will help out the fucking Panthers and the Jets and the Ducks. No, it's not going to fucking help them at all.
Yeah, as
Like
long yeah,
this
if the
means
floor
nothing to them.
if the floor goes up, right? So if the cap goes up, the
Right.
floor goes up. It
Right.
actually hurts those teams.
Right,
So.
exactly. So you get ready for your team to sign another fucking plug to way too much money. The
Right.
Coyotes in a playoff position are probably not too happy with the Dumba signing.
Corey Perry at what 4 or 5 mil?
Going to the Yotes for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
So we already talked about in the last episode. This is the NHL. Corey Perry, and he didn't commit a crime, so Corey Perry is going to go through some 6 to 8 month course on some horseshit sensitivity training, get a certificate that says I'm rehabilitated, I'm a better person. He'll be 6 months sober, and everybody will forgive him and bring him back, and he'll be a Coyote next year.
He's just watching PowerPoints for the next 6 months.
Yeah, it's not. This is nothing. Whatever.
It's good for him.
Yeah. Anyway.
Good segue into kind of what I wanted to talk about next. There's been a little bit of speculation, and we've done this before, Chance.
Mm-hmm.
The Arizona Coyotes.
Oh.
Not only are they a fucking wagon right now, which their PR social media team is absolutely fucking running with, and I love that. There is a lot of steam behind a potential spot for their new arena.
I'm going on record right now. I am fully supporting the Coyotes. They are now my third favorite team.
You got to get a jersey, dude.
I have one. I have one of the OG Jeremy Roenick Yotes Kachina jerseys.
Oh, that's fucking sick.
It is pretty sick.
All right,
I'll start wearing it.
I expect you in full gear and your Kachina jersey next.
This is just one of those teams. Like, you have to be like, even if you aren't a Yotes fan, if you don't care about them at all. Yes, we've all been there. You and I have sat here and made fun of the Yotes and how pathetic the franchise is, and they're going through all this terrible stuff. Now it's the redemption tour. Now it's
100%.
for them. Like like they're embracing the fact that they're at ASU. By the way, I need to get to a game to there before they leave ASU, because it's never happening again. This will never happen again where an NHL team is playing at that kind of arena. I need to get there and experience what this is.
I'll be down there next weekend.
It's got to be it's got to be electric. It's got to be absolutely fucking cool. But it's
a dude got his fucking finger bit off, dude.
Who?
This was last year. Some dude got into a fucking scrap in the stands at Mullet Arena. Got his fucking finger bit off. You ever heard?
That's fucking electric.
I fucking love
crazy.
Hell crazy.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So that's the kind of energy that I'm expecting when I go to ASU.
Yeah, 100%.
Can you imagine playoff hockey at that fucking arena?
Oh, it'd be so sick.
Someone's gonna die. Like, it's just not. That's gonna be rowdy as fuck on ASU.
To sell more tickets, they're just hanging people from the fucking rafters. They just got them suspended. You just pull them up for a beer and then drop them back down.
Dude, that's gonna be so fucking. Depending on who they play in the playoffs too. Like, you've just got there's gonna be fights and it's gonna be a nightmare.
It's gonna be fucking blast, dude.
That I would absolutely fucking love. A nightmare in a good way. But no, they're becoming a story now where you just kind of want them to succeed, because the NHL has bailed them out time and time again. But let's be honest, if it wasn't for the grassroots movement that wants hockey to be in the desert, it wouldn't be there. Like, the NHL, as we talked time and time again on this fucking show, the NHL cares about money. And if there wasn't a fan base there that was committed to the Yotes and wanted to see hockey in the desert, the NHL would fucking move on. If they're like, the TV market doesn't give a flying fuck, we're not going to sell any tickets, even if they're good. Well, they did it with Atlanta. They put a team in Atlanta and they let them move, because they weren't good and you couldn't get the fan base. Here, this team has been bad for quite a while. They've ran into probably the second most horrible things, right next to Ottawa.
Sure.
in terms of bad shit, you could argue worse than Ottawa. I would accept that argument. Um, there's this is an exciting young team. They've got a lot of things to be happy about. And if you bring playoff hockey to ASU, all it does is just continue to bring the game to an area where many traditionalist hockey fans would be like, hockey doesn't belong. And that's where me and the traditional hockey fans definitely differ. Is I think hockey, if we could put a fucking successful team in Mexico City, let's fucking do it.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, Connor, one or two words for you, Connor Ingram. I
Connor Ingram.
I talked about this kid before the season started. I told you the Coyotes were going to be.
We do Antonio Banderas.
Oh,
Like leans back.
but I told you the Coyotes are going to be hard to play against. I told you they really liked Connor Ingram, right?
Yep.
I only saw him for about 10 games last. I think everybody only saw him for about 10 games last year.
Tell me a little more about Connor Ingram. Like what's was he through the system?
Yeah, through the system. AHL kid. Just, put up some good games in Tucson, but they. Who else did they have, right?
Sure.
Vamelka, they knew from the start, right? Armstrong knew from the start he wasn't going to be the end all be all, right? Who else do we have? They moved on from Aiden Hill, right? They felt pretty decent about Connor Ingram to the point where they brought him up a couple times last year and let him play some games, and he made some big saves, right? So what you're looking for from a young goalie is, let me tell you about goalies, Chance. What you're looking for from goalies, and we've talked about this before, is can you make a big save in a timely manner, right?
When your team fucks up, when
they need you to make it.
If you get scored on, and it's definitely still not your fault, but you need to make that save anyway. Like it breakaway. Like you and I are pretty much in the consensus of like, if you allow a breakaway and they score, it's not the goalie's fault. Like you shouldn't be allowing breakaways.
Right.
But you still want them to make that game-breaking save or that game-saving save.
Exactly. You want to see from your tendy, right? Especially a younger guy with a younger team. You want to see these saves where it's like, we left him out to dry, and he just kept us in this fucking game.
Yep.
And I think that's what Ingram has been able to do, and now this team is just fucking rallying with him.
Yep.
And what did he win? He won like Tendy of the Month or something. Like he had a fucking sick
something
stats.
Like
I mean, he just the kid is fucking good. He's completely taken over that role.
When was the last time a goalie on the Yotes had an above 900 save percentage?
Brizgalov, probably. Right? Like Brizzy or fucking Mike Smith back in the heyday.
It's just game.
It's just game. You have to love game.
Why you be so serious? It's just game.
Yeah, don't take so seriously. The kid is filthy, and the team is basically like, dude, we've seen him make some of these saves that just are energizing, right? They're energy saves. It's just not something you get from the Kraken attendees. I digress, but so he's just crushing it, and this team just walked through, and I think it's funny because the social media team of the Coyotes basically was like, yeah, we beat Vegas, we beat Colorado, we beat Tampa, we beat Washington, we beat St. Louis, right? Like we beat the last 5 Cup guys.
That's not nothing. I love it. That's not nothing.
I love it. I think it's fucking awesome. They just leaned into it.
It's not something, but it's not nothing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. At the end of the day, it's 5 wins in a row, and that's a pretty impressive streak. In this NHL, even the worst team can beat the best team on any given night. Like,
sure,
it happens.
But the worst team in that sequence is probably Washington, and they're still not terrible, right? So like, it's not like Columbus was the last. It's not like Columbus had won the fucking had won it recently, and they just waxed Columbus.
Yeah, but the Caps are pretty bad.
Yeah, and they fucking dominated the Caps. It was, like 6-1 or something stupid.
Those games where you're supposed to. Like, we talk about this before. Like, when good teams play bad teams, like, yeah, every once in a while the bad team can steal a game. But fuck, man. Like, you're supposed to win those games. Like, if you don't go in and you don't beat those bad teams 5-0, it's more of like we either had a bad game and we played down to their level, which is not a good thing, or, boy, we're not as strong as we thought we were.
Sure. Yeah, so I mean, games they needed to win, But Yotes are very close to getting a new arena. They were very close in Mesa, which I think would have been a good spot. Where they're looking right now, for anybody that doesn't actually know the Phoenix area, this is very close to Scottsdale. Let me go ahead. I'll just pull this back up. So these Phoenix Mountain Reserves by Paradise Valley, those kind of things. This is actually an area that's close enough to what Coyotes have identified as the East Valley. Have said this is where our fan base is in, right? Mesa, Chandler, Gilbert, Tempe, Scottsdale, right? So they're identifying this area, still allowing Glendale to come over to this Phoenix, this Paradise Valley area. It's somewhere in here. We don't know exactly where it's at because it's not completely confirmed. But this is a great area, right? It's not as good as Tempe. I think Tempe. Scottsdale, Phoenix. This area right here is probably the best bet just to get as many fans to the games as possible from the east and the west. But this area is not bad, and there's a ton of good land up there and a ton of room to grow. So. Going to be really interesting to follow that. I know Craig Morgan is someone, if you are on Twitter, definitely follow Craig Morgan. He is like the Coyotes guy. Kind of, he's not my favorite person to follow on Twitter, but he has this information
Sure.
like it's his actual job. So definitely check that out. But yeah, interesting. There's a big push to put an arena here, and I think a lot of that has to do with, even though you go to a Coyotes game, 70% of them are Boston Bruins fans if they're playing the Bruins. It still brings in a ton of revenue. So the NHL.
For now,
exactly.
There was a time you remember the Shane Doan era. There was whiteouts like that.
Yeah,
100%. Playoff hockey can work in Arizona.
100%.
Like we have seen it in the highs of the Coyotes. We have seen it work. 100%.
Yeah, I'm happy that they're doing this. If you're in Quebec or Houston, I get it. You want a team. I completely get that. There's a ton of potential for this market in Phoenix. There's so much going on there.
And you and I aren't
against. There's so much going on there.
You and I aren't against expansion. Like going to 34 teams is not. I don't hate that.
I want to see them go to 36. I'm just, this is a numbers thing for me.
Two at a time. The NHL will not do odd numbers. We did that for a little while, and that's why we have the stupid wild card system.
Well, 36 is even number, bro.
I agree, but you think they're going to add 4 fucking teams at one time?
No, but I think 30. Like I personally, I think 32 is divisible by 8. Right? If you're doing 8 teams in your playoff, 8 is the number. Right? Go to 64 if you want to do it.
I just threw a bunch of toothpicks on the floor, Taylor. Would you count them for me?
Yeah, they're divisible by 7. So have fun deciding who makes the playoffs.
No, I get it. And that's, like I said before, like this is why we, for some reason, even though we have an even number now, this is why we still have the stupid wild card. Like it's been around long enough to where, with the NHL, like we hate something, but if it happens long enough, we just accept it.
Sure.
Like
I hate it, but it's fine.
Right. It becomes normal if you do it long enough, even though you fucking hate it. And this wild card system, like I remember through my entire college years, we're like, the wild card system is fucking terrible. Like, why do we keep doing this? Like, why can't we just go back to conference where it's 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, and 4v5? Like, that's what you and I grew up on.
I miss yelling at the TV with you.
Me too.
We used to have some good times yelling at those fucking TVs.
Yeah, we fucking did. That was a good time.
Good pastimes, man.
Well, it's fucking screaming about shit that we can't control. Right. That's why we do the podcast now.
Or at Champs.
Oh God, that was lots of scream. God, we solved many of the world's problems at Champs.
100%.
Yeah, or Mingles.
100%. Yeah, it's sad that we're still broke. Like, we had a ton of good ideas over like 7 beers.
I came across I found a relic. I found an ancient relic from Moscow. Going through all of my shit, a CJ's drink token. You think I can get that redeemed?
Oh, it's a church now. Yeah, you can get it redeemed, but it's for Jesus.
Oh, okay. Is that
Mormon Jesus though?
Does that get me a drink in heaven, or how does that work?
God, I hope they have beer there. Who am I kidding? I ain't going to fucking heaven, bro.
Yeah,
I'm just here.
that's
I'm
very
just here till it
presumptuous
ends.
of you there,
Yeah.
Taylor.
Hey, man. Yep. It
Shit.
is what it is.
Yes,
All right.
very much so.
Hey,
What else we got?
you got anything else you want to talk about today besides the Kings being potentially a Cup favorite or what?
Yeah, let's talk about the Kings a little bit because I feel like our biases toward the Kings have kind of influenced us not talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
You not liking them and me kind of nothinging them. Like
Oh,
to
I
me,
love Quentin Byfield, dude.
to
You know what? I hate the Kings, but there's it's the Sharks, man. I like I hate the other California teams. There's players on those teams I love.
Gotcha. I've nothing the Kings for a while because for some reason they're just the. I know that this sounds strange, but to me, like because of you, I follow the Ducks, and I used to hate the fucking San Jose Sharks, so I knew about them.
Yeah,
The Kings have always been that middle team that I just like kind of, like
man.
nothing. Yeah, and the claims of like the Kings being the underrated team in the league are very sound. Like they're quietly being one of the best teams in the league.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. Let me pull up actually standings here real quick.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just basically the coming out party for Quentin Byfield playing on the top line, and this is take notes, Columbus Blue Jackets. It really does benefit your team, especially if you have some guys that are a little more
Changes the
established.
culture.
Yeah, it does.
They're
It
not
brings energy,
they're not
right? It
by
brings energy.
they're not they haven't lost all their hope.
Well, and you know, it's a little different of a situation, right? Like Columbus knew with the Babcock stuff, especially, right? Like, oh man, this sucks to begin the season, but at the same time, you have to give those players an opportunity, right?
4-3, man. Like
That's nice.
that's
That's
a
nice.
that's not a fake good record. Like we you scroll up here and you look at Florida Panthers 15-8-2. Like okay, you've won 15, you lost 10. The Red Wings 14-11 if you count the OT losses. The Philadelphia Flyers are basically even if you take away their OT losses. Fucking New York Islanders would be. I love that the Islanders are limped into the Metro with
So
an
funny.
11-7-7 record.
So
like
funny.
they're
They won again
technically
tonight too.
they're technically a losing team. Like they technically have lost more games than they've won, yet they're in the fucking playoffs above teams that have winning records.
What would you say when the season started? What was that team's strength? What were we
The
talking
Islanders?
about? Yeah, what was the Islanders' like strength? What were they bringing to the table?
Sorokin.
Yes, the Tendies, right?
Yeah.
And the Tendies have been subpar, which is just bizarre for that team. It's the thing. That's the thing. There's no way.
But they're not playing well. Like they're losing games.
Exactly. It's
like
just, it's
that's
crazy.
the thing. Like and it's like looking at the Islanders right now. This is Gary Bettman doesn't give a fuck about what we say on this podcast, but like looking at the standings, this is Gary Bettman's one of his worst nightmares in the sense that somebody is making a mockery of his loser point. Like it's supposed to be like oh you've got you're gonna have wins and losses and then you'll have like 3 or 4 OT losses.
Dallas does this every year, dude. What are you talking about? This is the Dallas and Columbus loser point.
The John Tortorella Columbus Blue Jackets made
100%.
this a fucking like it was a thing. Like they cared more about OT losses than losses or wins.
Right.
And the Islanders are now they're technically like this should be an 11-14 team in my book. I hate the loser point so fucking much. It just doesn't make sense to me.
You're so angry.
It's counterproductive to what our sport is. So, like, to give an example and to not get completely off fucking topic, but the NBA just had that like in-season tournament, and they're like, "Oh, well, this worked really well from the NBA. Let's implement it in the NHL." The cultures are different. It's just not going to work in the NHL because we've talked about this before. How many times do we watch that? It doesn't matter what they try to incentivize them with the All-Star break. Like, oh, here's $100,000. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Oh, here's a new car. Like, Ovi made a joke one time that he wanted to get picked last in the draft, and we can even talk about that for a second. That the year that they actually, the captains of the All-Star teams drafted players.
That's what we're doing this year, right?
That's what we're doing this year, which is more fun than what we've been currently doing anyway. But Ovi, historically wanted to get picked last because he wanted the car, Like I just don't like in the NBA. It was the winning team got $1 million. That's not nothing, you know.
Right.
And I'm sure they got a strong talking to of you guys need to care about this. The NHL, like we've been ingrained time and time again that the only thing that matters is the Stanley Cup. That's it. Like so much so that even when you win your conference, you won't touch your fucking trophies.
Yeah, I think so. I think the in-season tournament. You know what? I don't hate it. Let me preface it with
It's not
that.
okay. It's
But
not going to go over. We'll put it that way.
no, no. But here's what it's doing for the NBA. Middle of the season, boring as fuck, right?
Breaks it up. Yes.
It's and not just saying the NBA because I think the NBA. I think basketball is boring as fuck, anyways.
It is.
But I think what it's doing is breaking up the season to where yeah, exactly, right? You're bringing a little bit of excitement to the middle of the season. Does it fucking matter? No. Like what the fuck? Like you get to go to Vegas and those teams. What do they have bragging rights?
Then how do you make it matter? Is my question.
The only way you make it matter is now that team that just won that should be on a heater, right? That team should be on a heater, and maybe that means something to the actual overall standings of what's going to happen in the NBA. But you can't make it matter. It's gimmicky, right? And then you're soccer.
So
right?
then you have to make it not gimmicky, and because again, for hockey play, basketball and that shit, that's all gimmicky. Like that's they live for that kind of stuff. Like
well,
that's
soccer. So this
soccer too.
This all pretty much started with football, right? This all started with soccer over in Europe because they do these mid-year tournaments, right?
Okay.
Right. So and it brings in some revenue and it brings some excitement to the fans, but it's such a disruptor.
It is.
Right? It's such a disruptor for the season. If you are a fan and you can't get hard for a mid-season NHL game that you go to, that's on you, dude. I'm sorry. You're a fake fucking fan, right? Like that's I don't need an in-season tournament to yell my fucking ass off and be a shit show at any hockey game I go to. Come on.
Let me hit you with this. We bring back it would be a 1-game event, which is not necessarily what the NHL wants. This wouldn't be a tournament, or maybe you can make it a series, like a 5 or 7 game series. North America versus World. We bring it back. A 3, 5, or 7 game series. North America versus World NHL players.
Ooh. Okay. Let me. What do you
think? What do you think? I'm trying to meet the NHL halfway here because I just don't think based on what we've seen from the All-Star break, like we've tried multiple things. We've tried Team North America for the World Cup, and then we tried like 3-on-3 and drafting, and then we got the John Scott situation. Like none of that fucking worked. Okay, it's always been a joke. We have to find a way to make this serious. What is the one thing outside of the Stanley Cup that NHL players give a flying fuck about? The Olympics.
Sure. Let me throw an alternative at you. I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
Okay. Hit me.
Throw an alternative at you.
Try to be realistic.
So you could do a mid-season tournament, but I think you basically there's this black area in the middle of the season where scheduling wise you don't know what's going to happen, right? And I want to take the say top 3 teams from Canada and top 3 teams from America or however you want to do this, whether it's top 3 teams from each division or something like that, and you have this blacked out area in your schedule where in this situation, yeah, they're all just playing each other, right? So that's like the in-season tournament. That's essentially what you're saying with that stuff. So I don't know. Like there is a way that I think you could potentially do it that would work. It's just
you've got to create a situation where players care. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. And the only reason it's the only thing outside of trying to win the Stanley Cup, because and to the credit of our sport, we have done a very good job of putting the Stanley Cup on a pedestal. Like it is, we've convinced ourselves, and rightfully so, it is the greatest trophy in sports. Like it's the hardest to win. It is the coolest thing. Like it's great. It's fantastic. So we've almost set a precedent and a high standard to the point where oh shit, like what can be more important than this? And the only thing that even comes remotely close is a
Country,
is a
yeah.
gold medal. Is a gold medal
Mm-hmm.
in the Olympics. So that's the only thing that comes close. So how do you replicate that? My argument is the NH the North America versus world, where you can kind of replicate the idea of okay, this is about national pride kind of thing. And
Mm.
the only reason that I do North America versus world is because there's just not enough. Like we're talking World Cup of hockey right now. That's kind of going on at the moment. It's only going to be a 4-team tournament because there's just not enough guys in the NHL to make a Swiss team.
ODR, 3 versus 3. Pick your team. Captains of each team get to select. Each win there is worth 3 points. There you go.
What do you win?
I mean, wins, right? So like McDavid, Draisaitl, and Kaner, or McDavid, Draisaitl, and I don't know Bouchard, right? Each of those wins is worth 3 points instead of 2.
I okay, but they're not going to do that. So it's the situation of like how do we make things, because even the Winter Classic, like even nowadays, like ask any NHLer. I think maybe I'm imagining this, but Bobby Ryan even talked about it. Like
Yeah,
these
it's just
games
a
are
spectacle.
it's
It's just another day.
it's just another day. It's a cool game, but it means nothing, and it doesn't mean any more than the other games. So what can you
Yeah.
do to incentivize these professional players to actually care and try hard and actually like maybe hit and skate at 80%, you know? Because watching the All-Star, because you're setting it up, like if you do an in-season tournament, you're setting it up for you're setting up for the All-Star game where no one tries, no one gives a flying fuck. It's not a big deal.
Ooh. Yeah.
That's the
No.
question. Like, and I'm saying that's why I pitch North America versus World, is because it's as close as you can get to the Olympics without being the Olympics.
So golf kind of does this, right?
Okay.
They do like a Europe versus the US, right? But
Okay.
they do it after the season though. Right? So it's not in season that we're doing this kind of game. I stand on the side of I don't think you need this, right? If you
Oh,
are a good
sure.
enough if you're a good enough sport.
This is a cash grab. This is a blatant cash grab.
Right, it's a
Like
cash grab.
we're trying to meet the NHL halfway here. Like if we have to have blatant cash grabs, how can we do this? No, the answer from you and me is let's not do blatant cash grabs.
If we're doing cash grabs, it's called the Stadium Series, and we're already fucking doing it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's an interesting. You know what? Basketball needs that. I'm sorry. If you're a hockey fan and a basketball fan, which not a lot of people are, but
No.
if you're both, I'm sorry. The in tournament thing is just it's just basically it means nothing. It's literally fucking zero, right? So why
You're just
would
not going
we-
to get hockey players to care. You're
Yeah,
you're going to
like-
get the same level of effort you see them in the All-Star game, and they what would you say optimistically, like some like maybe 50% effort in the All-Star games, maybe.
Yeah, but we're basically we're trying to make like we're looking at something that basketball does again, right? Greg Wyshynski. This is the same shit that we've been trying to do. We're just trying to make hockey basketball again. And basketball to me is not a good sport. I think it's boring as shit. So why as a hockey fan would I want that kind of shit? Right?
Agreed.
Just do something else. There's
Yep.
there's better options, man.
Gotta be. And the last thing I'll say on this before we wrap up the show, but like the only thing that I like about the All-Star weekend is the skills comp. If you can make players care about the skills comp, then that's something, because they're not going out there. There's no risk of injury. You know, they don't have to actually try hard or anything like that. But there could still be an innocent competitiveness to it. You know, like but in order to do that, you actually have to invite the best to it. Like, and I know that this is a Red Wings homer thing, but like for years, Dylan Larkin as a rookie held the All-Star game speed record, but he only got invited the first year. So even though he held the record and was trying to hold on to that, he wasn't invited back to the All-Star game for multiple years, which to me makes no fucking sense. Like, anybody who has a record should be invited back to hold the record.
Dylan Larkin has to beat me around the rink in a skating competition by more than 10 seconds, or he loses 5 of his points on the season.
So one, I like this. Two, I actually think you could give him, if I didn't think that your ankle would give out on the first turn, I think you could actually give him a run for his money on that. Like, if you gave him a 10-second head start and he had to beat you by 10 seconds, I think you could keep it close, but I don't know if your body could last up. You skating at full speed around, when was the last time that you skated full speed around the rink in a circle?
It's been years. Honestly, it's been years since you brought up that, like, not even in a full circle, right? Like, I haven't skated full speed. Like, I've played tournaments in men's league since the last time that I was actually fast, and I could easily injure myself at any of those situations.
The spirit is willing. I know that you, like, your mind,
in the brain,
right,
in my brain, I can
it.
compete with him, but no way, my fucking hips.
Your
said,
body is.
You said ankles, but my hips, dude, hips
your
would
hips
give
are
out.
fucking. You cross over behind the net, and you're just fucking going into the boards.
Yeah, but if I go into the boards, he has to stop, right? Like, he's got to
stop.
Is
that the rule?
Yeah, that's what okay. I'm making them up as I go, dude. Like, come on, man. This is my dream.
Fuck. Okay, maybe you and Ryan Reeves could race around the ring.
But he can't throw any punches. I could probably beat Ryan Reeves.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I could probably.
I think
Ryan Reeves is slow, dude.
Listen, man, Ryan Reeves is only good for one thing. I don't think you can beat him at that. Like, even if you were like, could you score more goals than Ryan Reeves? Like, there's a possibility,
Well,
like, it's not zero, okay? Like, he probably still has the edge, but it's not zero.
If I had the opportunities in an 82 game season, I could have one. I could get one goal.
Okay, I want to end on bad takes of Twitter right now.
Right.
I was reading something of, like, obvious, like, it was like, to all the beer leaguers out there, like, just remember that even if you're the best person in your beer league, there's no way that you're better than the worst NHLer. And modern days, I agree with that statement. But
sure.
Like, somebody followed up with it of, like, this even applies to, like, going back all the way. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, have you watched some old hockey games? Like, have you watched, like, the 60s Flyers? Like,
dude, you can get lucky. Come on. What we're not contributing luck into this.
Those games were all about, like, hacking the shit out of people. Like, it was basically a blood sport back in the day. Like, there was no regulate. Like, that sport was more about hurting people than actually scoring goals.
Well,
they were not good.
Like, yes. Okay. If it's me and you and another beer leaguer against like Marner, Matthews, and like, of course we can't score.
No, obviously,
right? Like, we cannot score that. But if I'm playing, like, if I'm the left winger of Matthew and Marner, you're telling me in an 82 game season, if I'm getting 20 minutes a night, like, I can't just find a way to maybe get one assist or goal? You're an idiot, right? Like, it's eventually going to happen.
Look,
those guys are too smart, and they know that I'm okay.
My point was, like, obviously, like, nowadays, like, yes, even if you build a team with one player from every fourth line in the league, that line is still going to crush every single club hockey team out there in the world. Like, 100%. No, I'm not arguing that point. But, like, could the 2014 Vandals compete with and skate with the 1945 Rangers?
If we played 82 games, yeah, like we'd have a losing record, but there'd be games where we might beat them.
Look, man, I've looked at
Right? It's hockey, baby.
how about the 19 whatever Seattle Metropolitans? Okay, like they had 5 guys on the fucking team.
Oh yeah,
I think we can beat them.
I could find a way to dance around them. Dude.
Yeah, I feel like eventually we're gonna be able to beat those guys just on Yeah, you ever played in a beer league game where your team has 8 guys and they have 15?
Yeah, just sheer statistics. Like eventually
you're on your 15th minute of your shift and you're just like, I need to sit down.
That was Portland, dude. I remember going to Portland and we started with 8 guys. And then like 2 guys got hurt. 2 guys got hurt. 1 guy got suspended. Like
the only time that I played first line minutes for our Vandal Hockey Club is Portland because we were just so good.
You did so good.
I actually did. I remember us leaving, and you're like, that was the best I've ever seen you play. I was like, well, I didn't really have a fucking choice. So.
I had no choice but to play my best hockey I've ever played.
It more shows that how bad they were because I think they had like 25 guys plus like 5 undressed guys in the
stands. They had extra guys on the bench. And we showed up to their rink with 8 dudes. And we still the last game I think we won or we lost 2-3.
We split games with them, I think.
Yeah, we split we lost the first game like 7-1 cuz they had way too many guys. And then the second game I think we won 3-2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid, dude.
Good shit.
All right, hey, let's get out of here, man.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. This is too long an episode.
Yeah, I'm going to go drink more beers, though.
That's me too. All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening in. God, we really appreciate your support and you guys listening in and supporting our show and just loving. We hope you guys love what we're talking about and having fun with us along the way. So please subscribe to us on whatever you want to listen to us or watch us from YouTube. We're definitely on YouTube, so check us out on there. We'll be rolling out some merch here soon. So if you guys want to support us, God, that means the world to us because it allows us to continue to do what we're doing and make this fun for everybody. So keep your eye out for that. Support our sponsors. And folks, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, just interact with us, guys. Come on.
We love it. We love it.
We love
whether
that shit.
Whether you want to agree with us or if you just fucking hate our guts and you want to fucking argue with us.
Sure.
We love that.
We'll bring you on the podcast and we'll roast you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll bring you on the podcast. I ain't afraid. We'll dust your ass.
Definitely. And if you've made it this far into the show, keep an eye out for next week's episode where we bring on a hockey legend. We'll bring that out a little more later. But this guy was
another Ducks guy, dude. What
this
are we
guy,
doing? We're Ducks buddies.
This guy, I owe who I was as a hockey player to this guy. So, I'm definitely going to be excited to bring this guy on the show.
Let's go.
Cool. All right, everybody. See you later next week.